Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar and workshop series conducted by TCS in lieu of the upcoming MCS exams happening in November 2024. My name is Nick and I'm one of the lead tutors and evaluators for MCS at TCS. So let's look at the session outcomes. First things first, I'm going to take you through the technicalities behind the MCS exam, thereby providing an overview of what this exam is all about. If you're coming through the general route, you would have completed your OCS exam. So the structure and the content is quite similar, and the way in which your knowledge is tested is quite similar to that of the OCS exam. However, if you are coming through an exemption route such as FLP or Management Gateway, then this might be your first CIMA case study. So you need to gain an in-depth understanding about how your knowledge is tested and how your examination is structured. So with that in mind, I will be providing an overview into your exam. And in the second part of today's webinar, I will be taking you through an 8-week study plan, which we have prepared for exams happening in November 2024. As you know, your pre-scene will be released next Friday. So until your examination, you have 8 weeks at your disposal. So if you stick to our study plan and keep moving forward with your preparations in a structured manner on a weekly basis, then you can be successful at your real MCS examination. And let me quickly remind you about the free MCS webinars and workshops which we are conducting until your examination. So on a weekly basis, we are conducting either a webinar or a workshop. So since there are 8 weeks until your exam, we have scheduled 4 webinars and 4 workshops for your benefit. And let me quickly remind you or tell you about what's highlighted or what's covered within each of these webinars and workshops. So the second webinar is happening on Friday, the 27th of September, which coincides with the pre-scene release. So on the same day itself, the pre-scene will be released by 9 a.m. UK time. On the same day at 17 GMT or 6 p.m. UK time, we will be conducting a pre-scene analysis where I will be taking you through the internal dynamics of your chosen company. And on top of that, I will also conduct an industry analysis considering real life industry dynamics. And on top of that, I will also highlight what you need to do with regards to pre-scene application. You are supposed to bring in information from the pre-scene with the intention of improving the quality of your answers. So I will explain how to get these things right at the second webinar. So that's an important webinar because it's of utmost importance that you get an understanding about your company and what happens within its industry. And in the third webinar, out of the 4 webinars, the most important one is the third webinar, answering technique, because in this webinar, I will be highlighting or teaching you answering technique as well as time management technique, because at the exam, before you start developing your answers, you need to develop something called an answer plan or an answer structure, because if you spend some time to plan out your answer, you will develop high quality answers, and on top of that, you can make sure that your answers are totally aligned with the requirement. So with these things in mind, I will be teaching you answering and time management technique, because this is a time pressured examination. So if you run out of time, you will not pass the MCS exam. So you need to practice these answering and time management techniques to get it right at your real exam. And at the same webinar, after teaching you answering and time management techniques, I will also explain to you based on a mock exam how to implement these techniques in a practical sense. And when attempting the 6 mock exams which we have developed for you, you are supposed to keep practicing these techniques over and over with the intention of championing these techniques. If so, you will never run out of time at your real exam, and you will come up with well-structured answers which are aligned with the requirements or the syllabus elements tested at your exam. So that's happening on the 5th of October. And in the 4th webinar, exam prep, I will be taking you through examiners' comments because it's of utmost importance that you understand what's expected from you by listening to the examiner. So on top of that, I will also highlight what you need to do to build or develop a high level of confidence, because as per the CIMA examiner, if you're confident about your skill set, then you are poised for success at your real examination. So, and on top of that, in the fourth webinar, I will also mention what you need to do to manage your stress levels, especially when attempting each of your mock exams, because it's better to face stressful situations when attempting your mock exams than at your real exam, because when you are exposed to stressful situations when attempting your mocks, you will know what to do to tackle exam stress. If you are successful in it, you will successfully manage your stress levels at your real exam, because take it from me, it's not easy to sit in one place and attempt an exam 3 hours at a stretch. You have to attempt 4 tasks in total, so you need to keep replicating answering and time management techniques 4 times over. You need to keep fighting your way through. You need to keep managing exam stress. So these things are not easy. So it's best that you are exposed to all these negativities when conducting your preparations, when attempting your mock exams, rather than facing them for the first time at your real exam. So all these techniques will be taught in the fourth webinar. And in the workshops, I will be taking you through mock exam questions and concerning each syllabus area, E2, F2, and P2 syllabi, so that to ensure that you are conversant with how to tackle each type of question which tests different syllabus elements. So these are handled in the workshops, and within these workshops I will be opening up for a Q&A as well, because by the time you are at the workshops, you should have completed 1 or 2 mock exams as per our study plan. So after completing 1 or 2 mock exams, definitely you'd have questions. So I'm always there to help you guys out. And on a weekly basis, you have the chance, even if you do not invest on our paid content, you have a chance of getting in touch with us and clarifying your doubts. This also helps you to keep track of your performance on a weekly basis. And if you're falling behind relative to the study plan, we will help you guys out as well. So that's what's happening in these workshops. And the final workshop happens 1 or 2 days before your real exam. And in this workshop, I will be sharing last minute tips with you to make sure that you walk into the exam with a positive attitude, with a positive mindset, with an open mind. If so, you will be extremely successful at your real examination. So make use of these free resources which we offer. Get in touch with us on a weekly basis via these webinars and workshops. Okay, so let's look at your MCS exam. Looking at the pathway to the examination, there are different set of students coming through different routes. So first things first, there are a set of students who are coming through the CIMA general route. So these type of students had completed their OCS exam, and on top of that, these type of students had completed E2, F2, and P2 OTQ examinations. So the MCS exam will be a walk in the park for you, especially given the fact that you have learned your theory already. So if you are such a student, you simply need to focus on brushing up your application skills since you have already learned theory. And there are another set of students coming through exemption routes, such as those who are coming through Master's Gateway. So these are the type of individuals who had completed their master's degree, and after completing it, you arrive at the MCS exam. And on top of that, there are another set of students who are coming through the FLP route. So if you're coming through FLP, you might have completed your OCS exam. If so, you'd be conversant with how CIMA case study examinations are carried out. So irrespective of whether you are coming through the Master's Gateway route or the FLP route, you need to work towards improving your theoretical knowledge, because when you look at a master's program or a bachelor's program, certain syllabus content which are covered within P2 and F2 syllabi are not covered within your master's programs or degree programs. So with that in mind, if you're coming through an exemption route, you have 2 things. You should have 2 things in your mind. You need to learn theory, especially focused on P2 and F2 syllabi. And on top of that, you need to work on your application skills. So although this is the case, you need not worry. we have a separate package which we have designed specifically focused on those who are coming through the exemption route. And via this package, you will gain access to master classes. You learn what all these things are in a little while. So you will gain access to a set of master classes, and the prime objective of developing these master classes is to make sure that you learn theory and significantly improve your application skills. So we have tutored hordes of students who are coming through the exemption route and end up passing in the first sitting itself, simply by sticking to our study plan and utilizing our resources. So if you're coming through the general route, you know what to do. You simply need to work on your application skills by attempting mock exams. But on the other hand, if you're coming through an exemption route, you need to do some additional or make use of some additional resources. You need to carry out certain additional activities with the intention of improving your theory knowledge and application skills. Then looking at the exam, this is a PC-based examination. You can attempt the exam at home, or you can attempt the exam at an examination center. If you're facing electricity issues or power cuts at home, and on top of that, if you're facing internet issues, then it is highly recommended to attempt the exam at an examination center. And the time allocation is 3 hours in total, and your paper consists of 4 main parts, or it's divided into 4 main elements, and the time allocation for each part or each task is 45 minutes. So 45 minutes into 4 tasks come up to 3 hours in total. And let me quickly show you how your exam is structured, or how a typical examination paper looks like. So as I mentioned earlier, your paper is divided into 4 main tasks. That's exactly what you can see here. So the time allocation per task is 45 minutes. And under each task, you will see 2 or 3 subtasks. And you'd also see certain weightages. And these weightages indicate mark allocations. So when developing your answers, it's best that you consider mark allocations and develop answers which are aligned with the marks allocated for each subtask. You will gain a good understanding about how to get this right by attending the 3rd webinar, where I'm going to teach you answering technique. Okay, so let's look at the type of questions which will be thrown at you. As you can see, this is section number 1. The time allocation is 45 minutes, and the questions are structured or developed to mimic a real-life corporate environment. So in a real-life corporate environment, it's as if you are walking into office and opening your laptop and or your computer, and you have received an email from one of your heads. It could be your senior finance manager or some other senior manager within your organization. It could be a board member as well. So they will send you an email, and within the email, there will be certain information provided about an opportunity the company is trying to exploit, or some type of an issue faced by the company. So you need to read through the scenario to understand what the company is facing at the moment. And on top of that, you will get attachments as well as reference material, which provides additional information about which are related to what's highlighted within the scenario. Always remember, each task or each main section will carry reference material. So always make sure to check your reference material. I've dealt with students, since they are under exam stress, they forget to check reference material. However, you can avoid all these issues if you stick to our study plan and attempt a mock exam per week, because when attempting the mock exams, you will be exposed to these type of shortcomings. For instance, when attempting the first mock exam, you might forget to check reference material. However, once you know that you faced this issue, you will never forget to check reference material at your real exam. So as I mentioned earlier, the reference material gives additional information connected to the scenario. And considering this information, you are supposed to address the requirements at hand. And this task carries 2 subtasks. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a weightage provided for each subtask, and based on it, you can easily determine mark allocations. And once you know how many marks are allocated, you are supposed to determine how many points need to appear within each subtask. And once you know this, you are expected to develop something called an answer plan. And once you have developed the answer plan, you are supposed to expand the entire answer plan in paragraph form, thereby coming up with your final answer. So you'd learn all these things at the third webinar. So that's task number 1. Section number 2 is quite similar. You are receiving an email from your senior finance manager, and the subject goes as an acquisition. So this task highlights an opportunity the company is trying to exploit. So there's some information provided about this acquisition drive, and additional information is provided as part of the reference material. And based on it, 2 questions are developed, and these elements test your understanding or knowledge about syllabus content. So when developing answers, you need to consider what's highlighted within your scenario, what's highlighted within the reference material. And on top of that, you have to be conversant about the internal dynamics of your chosen company as well as the external dynamics. Because whenever you are making a suggestion, you need to make sure that your suggestions or your recommendations, or whenever you are conducting an evaluation, you have to make sure that your evaluations are aligned with the internal dynamics of your chosen company. And whenever you are recommending something, you need to consider how the industry is going to react to it. So you need to cover all these elements. You might think that this is hard, which is not the case. If you stick to a study plan and attempt a mock per week, you will champion this process. If you had completed OCS with us, you know what I'm talking about. Then section number 3 is similar. Email, there's a scenario, there's reference material and questions. And if you look at the 4 task, that's the structure is quite similar as well. So your paper is divided into 4 main tasks, and let's assume you are done with the first 45 minutes. So you are done with task number 1. Once your first 45 minutes are up, you will be directed to task number 2. And once you are in task number 2, you cannot go back to task number 1. So you need to approach this exam without considering 3 hours in its totality. Instead, you need to think about 45 minutes, 4 45-minute slots. So once the first 45 minutes are up, you would be directed to task number 2. You cannot go back to task number 1. And once the second slot is done, you would be directed to task number 3. And when you are at task number 3, you cannot go back to task number 1 or 2. So that's how the exam is structured. You would gain a better understanding after attending the third webinar. And the pass mark is 80 out of 150, or in percentage terms, 54%. You need to, in order to pass the exam, you need to gain 80 or more marks to pass the exam. Although this is the case, if you stick to our study plan, you can easily gain more than 100 marks as per what our previous students had experienced. So this is an easy task as long as you are committed and you stick to our study plan. So that's your exam, how it's structured. Let's try to understand what your role is. So you are supposed to play the role of a finance manager within your chosen company. As I mentioned earlier, the CIMA exam is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So you are located at the middle level of the organization. As you know, any given organization can be divided into 3 main parts. At the very top, you get the strategic level. That's where you find the board members, and these board members are involved with long-term decision making. So whenever arriving at decisions, they need to adopt something called an outside-in approach. So when thinking about the future of the company or the long-term management of the company, they need to be considerate about how external stakeholders as well as how the industry is going to react to their decisions. So that's what an outside-in approach is all about. So it has nothing to do with you, because all these things happen at the strategic level, at the very top, at board level. And next to the board level, you get, or right below the board level, you get management level employees. So the main responsibility of these employees are to create the link between the decision makers and those who implement these decisions on a daily basis. So at the very lowest level of an organization, you find something called the operational level. So at the operational level, you find individuals who are carrying out the decisions which are taken by board members. For instance, if board members decide to increase sales by 10%, focused on it, they will come up with strategies. However, when it comes to implementing these plans, it's the prime responsibility of the operational level or the lowest level employees. So that's the operational level. You are located within the middle level or the second part of the organization, which is actually creating the link between the board members and operational level staff members. So you are at the middle of the organization. You are supposed to play the role of a finance manager. As a finance manager, you should have the capability of communicating the plans in an understandable manner to low-level employees. You should have the capability of providing leadership. You should be able to, negotiate as well as manage conflicts as a finance manager. And on top of that, you are supposed to carry out certain calculations and financial evaluations as a finance manager. And you need to be considerate about risk management, considering the medium term of your chosen organization. So all in all, although you are playing the role of a finance manager, you have to be concerned or conversant with non-financial elements when providing leadership to operational level employees. You're not just providing leadership to operational level employees, you have to report to board members as well. So your communication skills will be heavily tested at this exam. So that's what your role is. And as a finance manager, you are expected to have a high level of application skills and practical thinking at this examination. So what does this tell us? Theories are tested at your exam, and on top of that, you are expected to utilize your theoretical knowledge when providing practical and sound recommendations. So at the OCS exam, if you had completed the OCS exam, you know what I'm talking about. At the OCS exam, 85% of the questions are highly theoretical. The only decision-making element which you were involved with was in relation to recommending KPIs. Other than that, you were not supposed to provide any recommendations at the OCS exam. It was all about conducting evaluations based on information or facts and figures presented at your exam. So the OCS exam is a highly theoretical exam. And at the MCS level, things are a bit different. 50% of weightage is provided for theoretical questions and or to test your theoretical knowledge, and 50% of your questions are focused on practical decision-making skills. So the examiner is testing whether you have learned your theory, and on top of that, the examiner is testing whether you have the capability of coming up with sound recommendations. And when if you are to provide high quality recommendations, you need to use your theoretical knowledge. So as a finance manager, you have to be involved with decision making, and in order to come up with the best type of decisions, you have to be conversant with what's highlighted within your E2, F2, and P2 syllabi. So that's why I'm saying that theories are tested at your exam, and you have to be involved with practical decision making as well. So if you had completed your OCS exam, then you need to have a shift in the way in which you approach the MCS exam. You would have been extremely successful at the OCS exam by trying to memorize answers, by trying to memorize how to structure answers and whatnot. But at this exam, your objective should not be to memorize the answers. Instead, try to understand the logic behind each answer. Try to understand, when providing recommendations, how to utilize your theoretical knowledge with the intention of coming up with the best type of recommendations. So that's what your role is. And looking at, I'm trying to provide an overview into the exam. So at the exam, information is provided about a fictitious company in advance via something called a pre-scene document. So let me quickly show you what a pre-scene document looks like. So this is a pre-scene which was released for the previous case study sitting, and we have come up with tutor notations, because you won't see these type of annotations at your when you look at your pre-scene, which is released by CIMA. This is the annotated pre-scene which we at TCS had developed with the intention of making sure that you better understand what's highlighted within the pre-scene document. So via these annotations, we have come up with a good summary which makes your life easy when it comes to understanding pre-scene information. And on top of that, as part of these annotations, we have also highlighted probable scenarios which can be tested, and probable syllabus areas which can be tested at your exam, because it's quite usual for the examiner to provide some hints about what can be tested at the exam. So as a student, you might not have the capability to understand these hints, but as seasoned tutors, we know what these hints are, and based on it, what type of scenarios will be tested. So our annotations will indicate whenever there is a hint, such as what can be tested at the exam, we will indicate it as part of the annotation. So keeping that aside, let's look at how your pre-scene document is structured and what type of information consists in your pre-scene document. So first things first, looking at the very beginning of your pre-scene document, it starts with an introduction, which gives an introduction into your chosen company. And then the examiner moves on to highlight information pertaining to your chosen industry. So there's a lot of information about last time's industry, because as a finance manager, you are involved with medium-term decision making. You are supposed to provide recommendations. So if you are to provide proper recommendations, you should not only be conversant with what happens within your own organization. You have to always think about what happens within the industry as well. So that's why you'd see a lot of information considering your chosen industry. Then the examiner moves into the third part of the pre-scene document, where the examiner gives you a snapshot of what your company is up to. The examiner gives you information about its history, what it had done in the past, and at the same time, the examiner will also indicate what the company is up to at the moment. So different types of activities carried out by the company, as well as different types of activities carried out the company. All this information is provided. Then the examiner gives you information about what happens within the head office, which gives us a glimpse into what happens within different departments of your chosen organization. As a finance manager, you are located at the head office of your chosen organization, so you need to know what happens within different departments, what type of employees are there in different departments, because whenever you are suggesting something, you need to consider the dynamics within each of these departments. So that's exactly what you can see in here. And the examiner also indicates how the board is structured, because whenever you are providing recommendations, you have to think about corporate governance, whether we are aligning ourselves with corporate governance regulations. If there are any shortcomings, you need to highlight. Whenever such questions are thrown at you, you need to highlight these shortcomings and come up with recommendations to overcome these shortcomings. That's exactly why information about the board structure is presented at your exam. And most importantly, the examiner gives you an indication about the business model of your chosen organization, because as a finance manager, you need to know what type of a business we are running, what our business model is. You would have learned a business model which consists of 4 main elements in your E2 syllabus. And according to it, the examiner has structured the business model, and you need to understand what the business model is, because let's assume we are going to acquire another company. If that is the case, there will be a question where the board members or your senior manager is asking you to evaluate the acquisition considering the business model. So you have to compare this acquisition with our business model and explain whether it falls in line with our business model, or whether this acquisition goes against our business model. So these type of questions will be thrown at you. So in order to provide the best type of answers, you have to be conversant about our own business model. You can get these things done easily by referring to the annotations which we have provided. So that's that. And in the final part, the fourth part of your pre-seen document, the examiner gives you information about your financial statements. So you would see a statement of profit and loss, statement of changes in equity, as well as the statement of financial position or the balance sheet. Not just your financial statements will be provided. Financial statements concerning your closest competitor will also be provided, because as I mentioned earlier, you are at the middle level of the organization. Whenever you are taking decisions, you have to think about the industry, because you are reporting directly to board members. So when reporting to board members, I said when board members are taking decisions, they adopt something called an outside-in approach. So you need to think in the same way. You need to have the same mindset whenever you are recommending something. That's exactly why you have to be conversant about what happens within your industry and the financial performance of your chosen of your closest competitor. So again, the SOPL, statement of changes in equity, and the SOFP will be provided at your exam as part of the pre-seen document. And at the very end, the examiner gives us additional information via news reports and magazine articles. And on top of that, the examiner, via these magazine articles, provides us with tips about the scenarios which can be tested at your real exam. So covering all these information presented in these newspaper articles, the examiner will develop questions or scenarios. So it's best you get your hands on this annotated pre-seen to understand how these type of how these magazine articles will result in different scenarios which can be thrown at you at your real exam. And when developing our 6 mock exams, we consider all these scenarios and we cover all these scenarios to make sure that you are conversant with how pre-seen specific scenarios can be tested at your exam. So all in all, your pre-seen is divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, the examiner gives an introduction about with regards to your company. In the second part, the examiner takes you through the industry dynamics. In the third part, examiner gives you information about the internals of your company. And in the fourth part, financial information pertaining to the financial performance of your company. And on top of that, hints about probable elements which can be tested at the exam. All these things are presented via a pre-seen document. So you have to be conversant with the information presented in the pre-seen. And in the exam, you are required to address issues or questions relating to the managerial aspects of the company. Why? Because you are playing the role of a finance manager. And when providing your answers, you need to show to the examiner that you are conversant about what happens within your company and its industry. That's exactly why you have to be conversant with pre-seen information. If not, you will come up with highly theoretical answers. As a finance manager, there's absolutely no point of providing highly theoretical answers. For instance, if the examiner is testing your knowledge about conflict management, and conflict management is covered in your E2 syllabus, and when developing your answer, if you reiterate some theoretical concept, then you will not get any marks. Why is this the case? Because as I mentioned earlier, the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So it's as if you receive an email from your boss. So when your boss wants to understand, when your boss, as part of your email, highlights a certain issue which had occurred between employees of your organization, and after highlighting these issues, when your boss is asking you advice about how we can manage these conflicts, when you are providing a highly theoretical answers, when you are providing a highly theoretical answer, it will actually it will confuse your boss. So rather than confusing your boss when developing answers, you need to consider the information presented in the scenario and spot the issues highlighted. Let's assume there are 3 issues highlighted within the scenario. For each issue, you need to come up with mitigatory action, thereby effectively helping your senior manager manage a conflict which had occurred within your chosen organization. So there's absolutely no point of providing highly theoretical answers. Instead, you are supposed to utilize your knowledge gained via E2, P2, and F2 syllabi when developing answers. However, when doing it, you have to always think about what's highlighted within the scenario. You have to always think about the internal dynamics of your chosen company, and you have to always think about the external dynamics of your chosen company. So you have to be conversant with what's highlighted within the pre-scene. And on top of that, in order to provide the best type of solutions, best type of recommendations, in order to conduct the best type of evaluations, you have to be conversant with E2, P2, and F2 syllabi as well. For instance, you can provide a highly practical answer with regards to conflict management, but it helps when you know conflict management techniques which are highlighted within your E2 syllabus. So you'd gain a better understanding about how to get these things right after attending the third webinar, because as I mentioned earlier, in order to teach you answering and time management techniques in a practical manner, I will take you through one of the mock exams which we have developed. Then you will know how theoretical knowledge should be brought in when developing your answers. Then you would know how to develop answers which are aligned with pre-seen information. So that's what your exam is all about. Then let's try to understand your to-do list concerning the upcoming 8 weeks. So first things first, you need to read the annotated pre-scene. Then you have to watch the pre-scene analysis videos. We have already developed pre-scene analysis videos, and these pre-scene analysis videos are divided into 3 main parts. In the first one, there's an industry evaluation about industry dynamics in order to make sure that you gain a good understanding about your chosen industry. Then we have highlighted the internal dynamics, thereby explaining what happens within your company, what happens within your head office, what happens in relation to board members, how the board is structured. And on top of that, we will also explain the business model of your chosen company. And in the third and final pre-scene analysis video concerning or focused on your financial statements as well as its closest competitors' financial statements, we have developed a financial analysis video. So after watching these 3 videos, you'd gain an in-depth understanding about what's highlighted within your pre-scene document. Then after understanding gaining a good understanding about a company, you are supposed to practice 6 exam standard mock exams. Why 6 mock exams? So I've dealt with students who think that they can pass the MCS exam by simply attempting 2 or 3 mock exams. If you think in these terms, you are gravely mistaken, because you cannot cover the entire syllabus by just attempting 2 or 3 mock exams. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to be conversant with all syllabus areas which are covered under your E2, F2, and P2 syllabi. Just because you know your theory, you cannot pass this exam. Instead, you need to focus on improving your application skills. You need to know how to apply these theoretical knowledge, considering the information presented in the scenario and each and every presented in the scenario and your pre-scene document. So in order to make sure that you cover the entire syllabus, and you are conversant with how each syllabus area is tested at your exam, it's a must that you attempt these 6 mock exams. And it's prudent to attempt these 6 mocks under exam conditions, which gives you the opportunity to practice answering and time management technique. And at the same time, when you attempt mocks under exam conditions, you'll be exposed to exam stress. If so, you would know what to do to avoid exam stress whenever you are exposed to such a situation at your real exam. And on top of that, you are supposed to attend live webinars and workshops which are conducted on a weekly basis in the upcoming 8 weeks. Then you are supposed to refer to a set of slides as well. You need to refer to the industry analysis and financial analysis slides. So let me quickly show you typical industry analysis and financial analysis slides which we prepared for a previous case study. Our industry analysis slides are divided into 4 main parts. In the first part, we provide an overview into your industry, thereby defining your industry to make sure that you gain a good understanding about what type of players are there within this industry and what these players are up to. And in the second part, we highlight industry trends. So it's best to know what type of trends are there so that you can predict the type of future activities which we might pursue as a company. And we have also highlighted challenges faced by players within this industry. So by gaining an understanding about the trends and challenges, you are in a position to gain a good understanding about the type of scenarios which can be thrown at you at your real exam. And at the very end, we have provided information focused on two real life companies to make sure that you gain a better understanding about what happens within your company, what happens within your industry rather. So, that's exactly what you can see in here. And we have also developed a set of financial analysis slides. And as I told you earlier, at the very end of your pre-scene document, you'd gain access to the financial statements of your own company and its closest competitor. So we have evaluated each financial statement in depth, yet we have kept our evaluation simple so that you can easily understand what's depicted within your financial statements. So you can see the SOPL as well as the SOFP. And at the very end, we have conducted a ratio analysis considering your own company and its closest competitor. Again, we have kept things simple to make sure that you gain a good understanding about the financials of your own company and its closest competitor. Okay, so these are the financial, the type of slides which you need to go through. You need to go through the industry analysis and financial analysis slides. On top of that, you have to go through top 10 likely issue slides, which indicate the most probable scenarios which can be tested at your exam. And it's best that you gain access to these theory recaps covering E2, F2, and P2 syllabi, so that in a jiffy you can revise your memory or brush up your knowledge concerning different syllabus elements. Right after attempting an exam, you'd know where you went wrong or where you struggled concerning a certain syllabus element. Let's assume there was a question based on NPV and you struggled with it. After attempting the exam, simply go through these revision cards so that in a short period of time, you can learn theory and conduct your revision appropriately. And on top of that, you are expected to watch 20 pre-recorded masterclasses. And via these masterclasses, we are taking you through the logic of each answer covered within our last 5 mock exams. So the first mock exam is provided free of charge. If you go for paid content, in addition to this free mock, you will gain access to 5 additional mock exams. So in each mock exam, just like in your real exam, there are 4 tasks. So 4 tasks into 5 mocks come up to 20 tasks in total. So focused on each task, we have developed a masterclass. And what is the objective of developing these masterclasses? Number one, the masterclasses are developed with the intention of taking you through the logic of each answer. As I mentioned earlier, as a finance manager, you are not expected to memorize answers. Instead, you are supposed to understand the logic behind each answer. So that's covered within the masterclasses. And on top of that, we under each masterclass, we are teaching you theory concerning the syllabus area or theoretical element tested under each and every subtask. And whilst teaching you theory, we are also highlighting how to improve your application skills. I said that most students who are coming through the exemption route, they have knowledge gaps and they have issues with application. So focused on these set of students, we have developed these masterclasses with 3 things in mind. Number 1 is to take you through the logic of each answer. Number 2 is to teach you theory. And number 3 is to teach you application skills. And as I mentioned earlier, when developing these 6 mock exams, we have made sure to cover the entire syllabus. And once you had watched the master classes, it's as if you are learning the entire syllabus, which are totally focused on your pre-scene document, totally focused on exam standard mock exams. And you are also expected to refer to answer plans of all mock exams. Let me quickly show you what I'm talking about. So this is what a typical answer plan looks like. So if you had done the MCS exam previously, you know that you'd gain access to mock exams and suggested answers. However, at TCS, we have taken a step further, thereby developing or providing answer plans as well. So these are answer structures or answer summaries which we are sharing with you. Once you have access to these answer summaries, you can easily understand the logic behind each answer. You will easily understand how to structure your answers. You will easily understand how to include theoretical elements, theoretical knowledge when developing your answers, and how to bring in relevant pre-seen information whenever you are developing your answers. So, after gaining access to these answer plans, let's assume you went wrong in one of the tasks which were when attempting a mock exam. You are simply supposed to refer to the answer plans. Then you'd understand what you should have covered within your answer, and after referring to the answer plan, you are supposed to redevelop answer plans on your own. Then you are expected to compare the fresh answer plans, your fresh answer plans, with the answer plans provided by us to further improve your knowledge about your shortcomings. Because if you understand your shortcomings, you stand a chance to take action to avoid these shortcomings at your real exam. So you need to go through the answer plans of all 6 mock exams, and you'd also receive personalized tutor feedback for last 3 mock exams. So this is the type of feedback which we provide at TCS. As you can see, we have provided in-depth evaluations focused on each and every paragraph of this student's answer. And the objective of providing this type of feedback is to make sure that you understand your shortcomings, because as I mentioned earlier, if you understand your shortcomings, you'd know what to do to avoid these shortcomings. And across 6 mock exams, when you keep moving forward, when you understand your shortcomings and when you take steps to avoid them, then at your real exam, you will gain more than 100 marks when the pass mark is just 80. So that's exactly what you can see throughout this answer script, the type of feedback which we provide at TCS. And at the very end, we provide marks on a subtask by subtask basis. And we indicate a success rate as well. So the yellow highlighted areas indicate the subtasks in which your performance was substandard. So after receiving tutor feedback, rather than redeveloping answer plans focused on the entire mock exam, you should solely focus on improving or overcoming your shortcomings. So if you look at this student's success rate, the success rate is below par when it comes to subtask 3C. So after receiving tutor feedback, the objective of the student should be to redevelop the answer plan for subtask 3C. And as I mentioned earlier, after you had redeveloped your answer plan, you are expected to compare it to our own answer plans to further improve your understanding about what you should have mentioned within your answer and how to structure your answer. So you might think that there's this is an extended to-do list. You might think whether you have enough time to complete all these activities within just 8 weeks. Take it from me, if you stick to our study plan, you can complete all these requirements in a stress-free environment within just 8 weeks. Okay, so having said that, before we move on to the 8-week study plan, let me quickly tell you what we offer at TCS. So I'm on the MCS page, and click on this button to create a free user account, which will provide you access to free content. The material are not up as yet, especially given the fact that your pre-scene will be released next Friday. And via the free content or via the free account, you will gain access to the recorded versions of the weekly webinars and workshops. You'd also gain access to a free mock exam, which is exam standard and pre-scene specific. And on top of that, you will gain access to the suggested answer of the same mock exam along with its answer plan. Additionally, you will also gain access to our exam platform on which you can practice this exam under exam conditions, practice the free mock exam under exam conditions, which gives you the chance to practice answering technique and time management technique. So make use of the free resources we offer by clicking on this button and creating a free user account. And if you are interested in investing on our paid content, before you do so, click on this button and check our sample material. And if you are yet to join our MCS WhatsApp discussion forum, click on this button and join it. Via this forum, you can engage in group learning. And at the same time, if you have any questions, we are always, myself and our co-tutor Jared, are always there to help you guys out. And additionally, we will be sharing certain additional free material via the MCS WhatsApp group. So if you're yet to join it, please click on this button and join it. So talking about what we offer two main packages, the value pack and the premium pack. The value pack is designed for students who had completed their OTQs, or this is designed for students focused on who are coming through the general route, CIMA general route. So as I mentioned earlier, since you have completed your OTQs, you have already learned theory, you should simply focus your attention towards improving your application skills. So under the value pack, you'd gain access to recordings of all webinars and workshops we conduct on a weekly basis. You'd gain access to 6 mock exams with suggested answers. So on top of the free mock exam, you will gain access to 5 additional mock exams, which are developed to cover the entire syllabus, so that you are conversant with how each syllabus area is tested at your real exam. You'd also gain access to pre-scene analysis videos, 3 videos in total. You'd also gain access to the annotated pre-scene. You saw what our annotated pre-scene looks like and what type of information is depicted within the annotated pre-scene. And you'd also gain access to the industry analysis and financial analysis slides and top 10 likely issue slides. You'd gain access to the case study familiarization kit. By going through this kit, you can get your bearings with the technicalities behind the MCS exam within just 10 to 15 minutes. You'd gain access to a tutor-managed live chat and OTQ revision cards. So as I mentioned earlier, this is meant for students who had completed their OTQ exam. So after attempting each mock exam, if you feel that you had forgotten a certain concept, if you feel that you didn't do a good job, focused on the mock exams, then after attempting each mock, simply go through our revision cards to revise your understanding or revise your memory concerning the syllabus elements which are tested within our mock exams. So the value pack is priced at £249. Then talking about the premium package, this is designed for students who are coming through the exemption routes, as well as those who had failed the MCS exam previously. Both these sets of students have the same problem. There are gaps in theoretical knowledge and application skills. So with the intention of helping you overcome these issues, helping you overcome your knowledge gaps, helping you overcome your application skills, we have come up with additional material under the premium package. So on top of what you'd gain access to via the value pack, you'd also gain access to the online mock exam platform. So you have the opportunity of attempting all 6 mock exams under exam conditions, which gives you the opportunity to practice and champion answering and time management technique. And you'd also receive one-on-one tutor feedback on the last 3 mock exams. You know what type of feedback we provide at TCS. This is the best way to understand your shortcomings, best way to test whether you have learned your theory and application skills appropriately. And you'd also gain access to answer plans of all mock exams. So if you keep redeveloping answer plans and comparing your answer plans to our answer plans, then that's the best way to significantly improve the way in which you structure your answers. You'd also gain access to 20 masterclasses, which are intended to take you through the logic of each answer, teach you theory, and improve application skills. And once you have access to all this study material, you can pass for sure, hence the pass guarantee. So if you opt for the premium package and end up failing, you'd gain access to the premium content in your subsequent sitting free of charge. However, in order to claim the pass guarantee, you need to complete these 3 requirements. You need to complete all 6 mock exams, because if not, even if you invest on the premium package and end up just attempting 1 or 2 mock exams, you will be testing your luck at the exam. You have to be conversant with how each syllabus area is tested at your exam. So with that in mind, you have to make sure that you attempt all 6 mock exams, and your solutions or your answers should be original. There's absolutely no point of referring to the suggested answers, answer plans, or going through master classes before attempting your mock exams. because the objective of attempting mocks on your own is to make sure that you put your knowledge into practice. You stand a chance to understand your shortcomings, because if you attempt each mock exam without referring to the answers, you will gain a good understanding of where you stand as a student. When you understand your shortcomings, you can take all steps necessary to avoid your shortcomings. If so, on a weekly basis, you'd keep improving your skill set, and at the exam, you will be extremely successful. So your solutions should be original, and you have to meet the performance criteria concerning the last 3 mock exams. You need to gain 40% or higher. Why have we come up with this performance criteria? To make sure that you do a serious job when attempting the last 3 mock exams, especially given the fact that you receive tutor feedback for the last 3 mock exams. So once you have completed these 3 tasks, there's absolutely no way that you would fail the MCS exam. That's why we are providing a pass guarantee. So the price of the package is £799, which can be paid in 2 installments of £399 each, spread across 2 months, or else you can pay in full and save £100. If that is the case, the price of the package is just £699. And all products are available until the 28th of February 2025. So if you are planning to attempt the exam window in February 2025, you can invest now itself and conduct your preparations in a relaxed atmosphere. All right. So having said that, let's move on to the second part of our webinar, which is to take you through the 8-week study plan, which can be accessed via the website itself. So let's look at what you need to get right in your upcoming 8 weeks. So we are in week number 1. You are supposed to attend the first webinar. You have done so already, so congratulations. Then you are supposed to refer to the OTQ revision cards, with the intention of revising your knowledge. So within this week, I would suggest you to go through the revision cards concerning your E2 syllabus, because P2 and F2 carries a lot of technical information. If you're coming through an exemption route, you'd be clueless about what's highlighted within your P2 and F2 syllabi. Before you start attempting mocks, it's best that you go through your, especially for, go through your E2 revision cards. Then refer to the MCS familiarization kit. So within this week, you are expected to revise your knowledge concerning the syllabus elements. Then in week number 2, you need to solely focus your attention towards your pre-seen document. So in order to understand how to utilize the pre-seen document, you are supposed to attend the second webinar, pre-seen analysis, which is happening next Friday at 17 GMT or 6 PM UK. Then you are expected to watch the 3 pre-seen analysis videos to gain an understanding about the internal and external dynamics of your chosen company, and at the same time to gain an understanding about what's depicted within the financial statements. Then read through the annotated pre-seen on your own, thereby revising your knowledge after watching the 3 pre-seen analysis videos. Then refer to the industry and financial analysis slides, thereby further improving your knowledge about your industry and about your chosen company's financial performance. So the second week is dedicated towards understanding or decrypting the pre-seen document. And from week 3 onwards, things get serious, because then from week 3 onwards, you have to start attempting mock exams. So before you attempt any mock exam, you need to learn answering and time management technique. So with that in mind, attend the third webinar. After attending the third webinar, put your knowledge into practice by attempting the free mock exam via the exam platform. As I mentioned earlier, under the free content as well as paid content, you would have the opportunity of practicing the free mock exam, which is exam standard and pre-seen specific. You have the option of practicing this free mock exam under exam conditions. And when practicing this exam, put your answering and time management techniques into practice to see whether you are capable of getting these elements right at your exam. And after attempting the free mock exam, attempt mock number 1 as well via the exam platform. So week number 3 is a bit hectic, because in week number 3, you have to attempt 2 mock exams, whereas in other weeks, you are simply supposed to attempt just one mock exam. So after attempting the first mock exam, watch the 4 master classes to learn theory and improve application skills, to learn the logic behind each answer. After watching the master classes, since you have learned theory and application, put your knowledge into practice by redeveloping answer plans focused on mock number 1. You will understand what this step is all about after attending the third webinar, because then I will explain what an answer plan is and what you are expected to do with regards to redeveloping answer plans. So that's what's you are supposed to achieve in week number 3. And in week number 4, stick to a similar approach, attend the webinar, then attempt mock number 2 via the exam platform. After attempting the mock exam, watch the 4 master classes to learn theory and improve application skills. Then you'd learn what you should have included in your answer, how you should have structured your answer. Once you're conversant with these elements, redevelop answer plans, thereby testing your knowledge once more, and at the same time conducting your revision focused on your weekly mock exam. And in week number 5, you are supposed to attempt mock number 3 and watch 4 master classes to learn theory and improve application skills. Then test your knowledge by redeveloping answer plans. And from week number 5 onwards, you will gain a tutor feedback, because we are providing tutor feedback for the last 3 mock exams. So refer to the personalized tutor feedback as well to gain a good understanding about where you had gone wrong and what type of shortcomings you need to avoid when conducting your preparations. And a similar approach should be adopted in week number 6. Week 6 is dedicated towards mock number 4. Attempt mock 4, watch master classes, redevelop answer plans, and refer to tutor feedback. And week number 7 is dedicated towards your last mock exam. Again, stick to the 3-step approach. Step number 1 is to attempt the mock exam. After attempting the mock exam, step number 2 is to watch master classes to learn theory and improve application skills to gain an understanding about how to structure your answers. And step number 3 is to redevelop answer plans, thereby testing your knowledge once more. And if you stick to this process, a week before the exam, you can start relaxing. When all the other students are scrambling for time, when all the other students are trying to attempt 2 or 3 mock exams within the last week, you are actually relaxing. What are you expected to achieve in the last week? You are supposed to attend the final workshop to gain an understanding about what you need to do in the last 2 or 3 last week leading up to your exam. Then you are simply supposed to refer to the answer plans of all 6 mock exams. When you refer to these answer plans, you are going through the same answers again and again. You are revising your knowledge concerning the entire syllabus. You are again trying to improve your application skills. That's the best type of revision you should conduct closer to the exam. And reread the annotated pre-scene one last time, and stop preparations a day prior to the exam. Sleep, eat, and rest well. So if your exam is, let's assume your exam is on the 14th of November. If that is the case, you have to stop all your work by the 12th of November. Take a day off on the 13th of November and walk into your exam on the 14th. Why am I asking you to do this? Because as I mentioned earlier, throughout this webinar, I said that the CIMA examiner is trying to replicate a real-life corporate environment. So in a real-life corporate environment, if you are to function in the most successful manner as a finance manager, it's best to be well-rested, both physically and mentally. Let's assume you are walking into office on a Monday. If you are partying on Sunday till late, or if you are up on Sunday till late, can you function in a successful manner as a finance manager? You can't. You are not rested enough to do your job properly. So when approaching this exam, you should have the same mindset. You need to think, okay, I'm walking into office. If I'm to do my best, if I'm to do my best job, or if I'm to give my best shot at the exam, you need to be well rested. That's exactly why you have to stop all your work a day prior to the exam. And on top of that, it's best that you walk into the exam with an open mind, because you do not stand a chance to predict the type of questions or scenarios which can be tested at the exam. There's absolutely no point of trying to memorize things, memorize the scenarios and syllabus content or the type of questions which might be tested at the exam. Instead, you need to think in terms of finance manager. If you're really playing the role of a finance manager, you will be conversant about what happens within your organization. You would be conversant about what we have learned via E2, F2, and P2 syllabi. However, when you walk into the walk into your office, you are not in a position to predict what the company is trying to, with the type of opportunities the company is trying to exploit or the type of issues it is trying to manage. Instead, you need to go through the information presented via the emails and come up with the best type of solution. So to play this role in a successful manner, it's best that you are well rested before the exam. And on top of that, it's best that you walk into the exam with a high level of confidence and open-mindedness. So that's exactly why you are supposed to rest during the last week. When you are resting, all the other students, 99% of the students out there will be scrambling for time. They will be trying to attempt 2 or 3 mock exams. They'll be simply attempting mock exams with the intention of just completing them. They won't have enough time to redevelop answer plans. They won't have enough time to understand their shortcomings and avoid these shortcomings. They won't have enough time to conduct their revision appropriately as well. So for the sake of attempting mock exams, when the others are attempting mocks towards the last week, you have done your job. You are simply conducting your revision. So how are you expected to stick to the study plan on a weekly basis? So leave out Mondays, because Mondays are usually hectic at office. So let's assume you start your preparations on each Tuesday. So on Tuesday, attempt the mock exam. On Wednesday, watch the master classes to learn theory and improve application skills. And on Thursday, redevelop answer plans. And by Friday, you will receive tutor feedback. Once you have received tutor feedback, you can again focus on redeveloping answer plans, concerning the subtasks which are highlighted in yellow. And towards the weekend, simply attend the weekly webinar or workshop. I do not want you guys to spend time on education towards the weekend, because that's the only free time you have. So spend your time with loved ones, spend your time with your family members. And I know that you need to conduct household chores towards the weekend as well. So get all these elements done. And during the weekdays, right after coming back home after office, stick to our study plan and get all elements which are covered within the to-do list done within the upcoming 8 weeks. So as per our study plan, only in week number 3, you are supposed to allocate 12 hours of your time. This is due to the fact that you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams within week number 3, which will take 6 hours in total. Each mock exam carries a time allocation of 3 hours. So since you are supposed to attempt 2 mock exams, you are supposed to spend 6 hours to conduct your studies in week number 3. However, in all the other weeks, you are only supposed to spend 9 hours of your time, out of which your real responsibility is to attempt the weekly mock exam, which will take 3 hours of your time. Then on the next day, watch the master classes, which will take 2 hours of your time. And on the following day, redevelop answer plans, which will take again something like 2 hours of your time. So your real responsibility is to attempt the mock and redevelop answer plans. Everything else is handled by us at TCS. So if you stick to the study plan, if you do not wait until the last moment, if you stick to the study plan and start your preparations right now, and attempt a mock exam per week, you will see a considerable improvement in the way in which you structure your answers. You stand a chance to understand your shortcomings, and by the time you are in mocks 4 and the last 2 mock exams, you will take all steps necessary to avoid your shortcomings. And if that is the case, at your real exam, when the pass mark is just 80, you will gain more than 100 marks. Okay, so that's exactly what our students achieved in the previous MCS exam, which happened in February. So our students scored most of our students scored more than 100 marks by sticking to our study plan, and our pass rate was 91%. And reminding you about important dates. Exam entry closes on the 29th of October. So if you are planning to sit for MCS exams happening in November, you have to book your exam, book your position rather, before the 29th of October. However, don't wait until the last moment. Commit right now. If you're planning to do your exam in November, don't wait until October, because as per our study plan, you are supposed to start work right now in order to make sure that you conduct your studies in a stress-free environment. So commit yourself right now, book the exam, because if so, you will start working towards your goal. If not, by October, you would think twice about attempting the exam in November, and most of the students will push the exam towards February. So you are wasting a lot of time, whereas you can start preparations right now. So book your exam right now if you're planning to sit for exams happening in November, and the exam dates are from the 13th to the 15th of November. Okay, so having said that, I'm opening up for a Q&A. I'm going to pause the recording. All right, folks, thank you very much for those questions. I love it when you guys are asking questions, and when we spend a lot of time during the Q&A session. Definitely, you will have a lot of questions after the pre-scene analysis is done, which is happening next Friday, and after we start attempting mock exams. So if you still have additional questions, simply type it out on the chat section. And if something comes into your mind after the session is done, after this webinar is done, rather, drop your messages to the WhatsApp group. I'm always there to help you guys out. So if you want to contact us, you can do it via our website, which is www.study@tcs.com. Simply go to our website and click on the contact button and drop your message. Our admin staff will get in touch with you via email, and email us on info@study@tcs.com and WhatsApp us on this number. And I urge you guys to follow us on our social media handles, especially TikTok and YouTube, because the recorded versions of these webinars and workshops will be uploaded to our YouTube handle. And on top of that, via TikTok, you will gain access to a set of mind maps focused on your pre-scene document. So we will start releasing these videos next Friday onwards. So go follow our TikTok handle to get notifications whenever we release these mind maps, because we have made your life easy when it comes to remembering what appears within your pre-scene document. Rather than you trying to memorize everything on your own, simply keep watching these TikTok videos on a continuous basis until your exam, so that you can easily remember all the information which appears within your pre-scene document. So make use of all these free resources we provide. And concluding thoughts are to approach MCS as an opportunity to learn rather than an exam to pass. You are supposed to play the role of a finance manager. As a finance manager, you cannot predict the type of issues or the opportunities the company is trying to exploit. And on top of that, you cannot memorize the solutions which you are trying to offer to your organization. Instead, try to understand the logic behind each answer. If so, you'd consider this exam as an opportunity to learn rather than considering it as just an exam which is meant to be passed. So thank you very much for joining in. I will see you guys next Friday at 17 GMT or 6 p.m. UK. And at that session, I will be taking you through the industry dynamics of your chosen industry, and I will take you through the internals of your chosen company, thereby conducting a pre-scene analysis. Thank you very much. I hope you'd stick to our study plan and start preparations right now. I will see you on Friday. Thank you and take care.